Okay, let's work on problem 942 together. This really has two parts to it, and I've laid it out for you. We're going to use the calculators again because the calculators make this job a little bit easier. So if you follow along with me, maybe it'll become more clear as we go through. Cal Lurie owes $10,000 now. Okay, he owes $10,000 now. Okay. A lender will carry the debt for 5 more years at 10% interest. That is, in this particular case, the amount owed will go up by 10% per year for 5 years. So the lender's gonna carry this until this point right here, okay? And they will carry this at 10% interest. All right. So then the lender will then require Cal to pay off the loan over the next 12 years. All right, so he has to pay off the loan over the next 12 years at 11% interest. So there's no payments during this time, but during this time we will have payments. Okay, it says, what will his annual payment be during this time, this 12-year period right here? There's 12 years here. Okay, so you can see what we're going to end up having to do is find out after 5 years what Cal will owe. And then once we know what that number is, then we can determine what the payments will need to be made every year for the next 12 years in order to pay that balance off. But we need to calculate this number first. So we can do that here. Let's lay out our numbers here. N is going to equal, for that first piece, 5, right? That's a 5-year period of time. The interest rate, IY, is 10%. Our present value is the amount that we borrowed, which is $10,000. Payments, remember there's no payments during that cycle. And future value is what we're trying to find out. All right, so let's go ahead and do that on our calculators first. I will go ahead and clear our time value of money buttons by pushing second and the future value button. And now I'll type 5 and N, and that will program 5 into that key. And then 10 and IY, and 10,000, PV, 0 for payments. And now I want to compute future value, right? So I compute, push the compute button, and push my future value button. And what do I get? I get this number is 16,105.10. Okay? 16,105.10. That's how much Cal is going to owe after a 5-year period at 10% interest when he borrows $10,000. He owes this much. Now, the lender increases the interest rate to 11%, and that's over a 12-year period. I need to make payments to pay that balance off. So now, N equals 12 years. IY is 11%. The present value, what do you think that's going to be? If you said 16,105.10, you'd be correct. Payments, that's what we're trying to calculate. And the future value, at the end of the 12-year cycle, we expect the balance to be 0, right? All right, so let's go ahead and plug those numbers into our calculator and see what we get. Second future value button, that clears that previous set of numbers out of my keys. And I have 12 and the N button, and then 11 and the IY button, and then 16,105.10 in my PV button and 0 in my FV button, and then I will compute PMT. So I will push the compute button and then PMT, and I end up getting the payments of $2,480.62, and that's a negative, which means that I need to pay out $2,480.62 each year for the next 12 years in order to pay off the loan that I began 5 years before with no payments due.